And he said, God spoke to him and said, you don't need no medicine. He said, treat them with water. He said, water? He said, treat them with pure spring water. He said, it's got all the minerals in it they need. And it's got everything that they need. And he said, I listened to God. He said, I went and started treatment with 100% pure spring water. Ain't no wonder. And I'm a bad shit because I hate water. I used to. I done started liking it 3 days. All of a sudden, he said, I saw over 2,000 soldiers healed of peptic ulcers on pure water. He said, I saw them healed of cancer. I saw them healed of all kinds of diseases. On nothing but water. You know what God says about these bodies? God said these bodies are marvelously and wonderfully made. Well, if they're so marvelously and wonderfully made, God, how come they won't heal themselves? God says they will. But if we're in charge, amen. He said 97% of the bypass surgeries in America should never been done. He said all you need is water in your body. It'll start cutting the stuff out of our, cleaning the stuff up, and get your circulation flowing. Amen. He said cholesterol? He said the people today are sick because they don't have no cholesterol in their body. He said their doctors tell them that for years the doctors told you if your cholesterol was 350 or 360, you're in good shape. And I know that's true because the doctor told me over there when I was 370. I said, is it high? This was years ago. He said, are you acting? I said, yeah. He said, that's not high for acting. 370. But he said, now they come down, they wanted 200. Then they come down for that, they wanted around 100. And he said at 100, if your cholesterol level is somewhere around 100, he said your cells cannot get enough cholesterol to even produce themselves. And he said cancer is in your body. I'm just sharing this with you. If God gave it to me, God knows. Amen. I'll tell you something happened years ago, and y'all know it. I've told you before. God has told me before about water. And I have not listened to him because I like Pepsi. I want to tell you something. I went through a time in my life, I hope that there's Pepsi on the tree of life. Huh? I had a pastor one time said, I'm going to reach up on the tree of life and pull me off the step. I was going to give me a Pepsi movie. That's foolish. Thank you. Anyway, well, all this things is bad for us. But several years ago, when we first bought this property, I was out here one day and this man comes pulling up on a piece of property. And this man was, at that time, he was 10, 15, 20 years older than me. I don't know if he's even still around. I don't even know who he was. He came up to me one day, I was right out here, and he said to me, told me who he was, and he said, I heard you're going to build a church out here. I said, yeah, what do you? He said, you know, my mom and daddy used to bring me by this piece of property when I was a kid. So we used to pull on this piece of property when I was a kid. And said, we went back in here somewhere to a spring. And he said, Daddy said that was a healing spring. He said, we come up here a little bit. We come up here and get us some water out of that spring. He says, that spring's still back there? I said, I guess this one right down yonder, a fine spring right down yonder. That thing is, what, 6 to 6? It's that deep, 6 foot concrete, it's got that much water in it. Well, I guess it's got that much water in it. It's pump in it and everything. You just pump the water, get some mass on it. I said, it's there. It's like the Spirit said to me then, you need to be drinking that water. It's like the Spirit said to me, I gave you all that church property because it had that spring on it. So you could have help and strength. Well, I don't know. How was that you say that? Anyway, we build the church. We get the church going and everything. All of a sudden one day, my telephone rings. And there's a government man on the other end. And the government man says to me, he tells me who he is. I work for the Water Conservation of Virginia. And he said, you got some property we want to buy. What property? I said, we got a property to sell. He said, well, I said, I don't want a whole lot of it. He said, we want to park right back behind the church back there. It won't do, you can't build on it anyway. So we will buy that piece of property back there. It's got that spring on it. I said, it's not for sale. And he said, well, think about it. I'm going to call you back next week, and what it was. And he said, tell your congregation, and we'll willing to pay a good sum for that spring, that landowner. I said, well, I'll tell them. So I told the church about it. And I said, some of you know, some of you heard me tell you about it. Well, it went on about 3 or 4 more weeks, and he called me up again. He said, well, did you talk to your congregation? Did you sign and sell that property? I said, I told you before, it's not for sale. He calls me up again. The next day, he has a lot of time to talk to me. We talked for a long time. And he said this to me. He said, I see you're not going to sell us that land, but that's my job to try to buy it. And he said, let me tell you something. He said, you're doing the right thing by not selling me that property, selling us that property. And he said, we have checked that water. They bought some land out down the road, down there on the same stream where this comes out and goes down through there. It heads right here out of this piece of property. He said, we've checked the water in that spring. And he said, that spring has more minerals and nutrients in it than any other water that's ever been tested in the state of Virginia. Now, I don't know what kind of all things that's running over things. I don't know what all that is, but we own it.
Pop it in the church.
And we don't even drink it. Amen. I started drinking water the other day. I'll tell you right now, it's been 3 days now, and I've not felt this good. I mean, I don't have my blood pressure rushing up like it's been, even though I take the medicine. This time it's still doing this year. You know what I'm talking about? Boom, 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 boom. You know, if I do anything special, my heart is as calm as a baby's. My breathing feels like just as great as it can be. I couldn't even walk up the hill sometime. That thanks. God would have just touched me and get me through the services today. I feel like this morning, he's not even having to touch me because I'm just following more what he said to do.
Amen.
It's not a sight. We got to believe God. We got to listen to God. We got to be wise. We got to follow God. I want the church helped. I want to be helping myself because I love y'all. We have a good time together. Amen. I want us all to have a good time together until God takes us all. I know that everybody has to die. I'm not planning on living forever. Amen. I don't want to live forever. I want to go to heaven someday. Amen. But not today. If the Lord says today, it'll be okay. I'll stand. Hallelujah. As I take